What's up, everybody? It's the Arkatech Beatz Music Business Podcast. We are your hosts, platinum producers, Arkatech Beatz. I am Juggernaut,
I am Mike Trauma D.
and together we make the platinum production team of Arkatech Beatz. If it's your first time here, please make sure you like, commenting, and subscribing to the channel. We are going to go over something that's really a question that we get from a lot of people now. And a lot of people are asking us, when should you quit your 9-to-5 to pursue a career in music? Like, that is the big question, and we're going to try to answer that for you today as to when is the best time for you to really quit your 9-to-5, or when you should consider quitting your 9-to-5 to pursue a career in music. So make sure that you watch it all the way through the end, so that we can make sure you get all the tips that you need. So let's really jump into this, Mike.
It's a heavy one, man.
It's a heavy one.
It's a heavy question, man. Man, we get this day in, day out. It's a heavy question. Well, let's say this first of all, man. To be in this music business, you're gonna have to be able to fund yourself. You're gonna need some sort of income, some sort of stack of cash somewhere, some
Loan, credit,
something. And the funny thing is, man, there's no real budget number that you could say, okay, this is the number that's gonna make me pop in the music business. It's almost like a black hole. You put in your money here, you put in your money there, and you're just trying to figure it out for the most part, because the music business is a creative business, right? And it goes off. You never know what's gonna hit. You could follow some sort of formula. You could get the right producer. You could get the right record. But if it isn't marketed or promoted in a certain way, in the right season, on the right day, it could definitely affect, how well it does. Depending on other music in that genre that's coming out at the same time. There's just so many different factors that can affect the success of your record, So a lot of times you're going to be putting money into certain things, whether it's money into marketing to production, marketing, money into just a team for press, for many different things, radio, a whole campaign. So the question is, okay, how does the average person, how do they obtain that money, or that budget to move forward in the music business? And one of those things are that, there are people that, will use their 9-to-5 to help supplement, to help use some of that income from 9-to-5 and put it into the music business.
And that's where it gets tricky, because while you need the funds to, as we call it, you need the job to fund your dream, right? You need time. You need time to be able to develop your craft. You need time to be able to do the work that's going to be able to get your situation to get sustainable. So that takes time. And if you're giving your time 40, 50, 60 hours a week to, to your 9-to-5, to your job, it does create this situation where it's like, okay, how much time do you have left for creativity? How much time do you have left to build something? How much time do you have left to really work your music that you've been able to put out? And that creates the issue. So everybody's trying to get an understanding of what will it take for us to leave? When is the right time? And like you said, there's no really real answer to that. The situation is, you have to kind of assess your own personal situation, and we kind of break it down into like 4 different things, right? So you want to break down to how much you need in terms of your finances for you to live. That's going to be the first thing that you kind of need to understand. Like, what are my finances? What kind of financial stability am I going to have not working? Where's my income going to come from? Is everything going to go to shit if I don't have my job? Then the next thing you have to kind of assess also too is how much skills do you have? How much experience do you have in terms of your music, in terms of your music career? Do you have enough skills and experience to make any money? The third thing would be, are you committed and do you have a passion for this thing? right? Are you really committed to what it's going to take for you to really pop? And then also, are your expectations even realistic?
Right. Yeah.
And that's the real thing too. It's like sometimes we can have, as artists and creators, we can have an inflated sense or even a delusional sense of how good we are.
Yep. Absolutely.
You know,
It's kind of a catch-22 because you kind of need that in a way to be able to move forward, to take on some of the hits, to take on some of the negative comments and even criticism that's not even really helpful. You know, you need to be able to cut through all of that and kind of have like an iron shield to get to your goal. So it's a fine balance. And let me add, if you're a family man, family woman, if you have a family, then the decision is even more difficult, even more challenging in some cases. Because now you're not making a decision just one for yourself. You're not saying, well, if I mess up, it's just me. Now you gotta think about if I mess up, you know, I gotta make sure my child is good, my children are good, my partner is good, So those are definitely things to consider and think about. And I can understand, it being a little scary. I could definitely understand, betting on yourself is not for the weak. It's not for the faint, you know. Um, and for each person, their situation is different. So it's not like we could just say, on a broad base, do it all. It really comes down to what your situation is. Some people's 9 to 5 jobs allows them the flexibility to be able to do certain things outside of the job. Some people's jobs are not as demanding as others. You
right,
know, some people have a whole lot of vacation time, a whole lot of sick time, a whole lot of ways to maneuver so that they could attend the events and functions and be able to call out in the morning or take days off or take weeks off and be able to move around in the industry without a problem. Others, it's not so easy. Some people have some really high paying jobs that require them to be around, especially if you're hitting the six figures type of jobs where you're an executive at a company somewhere. It could be very challenging to be able to maneuver both because you 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 need rest. Let me be honest with you. In order to be creative, in order to be you have drive, success, you gotta get some rest. You gotta you because you gotta be on point. You gotta be focused. And for that to happen, you got to get a certain amount of rest so that your body can be able to handle what's gonna come. You got to be able to be sharp and be able to make decisions on the fly. So let's just be real. You're gonna need your rest. And if your job is killing you mentally or physically, and you're working 10 hours, 11 hours, and then you're gonna come home and you know that you got to go to a studio session or you got to create or go to an event, it can be a difficult situation. And on top of that, if you have a family where you have responsibilities that you have to tend to as well, it could be challenging. It's not for the faint. So I just wanted to put that out there, man. That it's
and
not.
it's not easy. It's not an easy decision. I think the first time where this is the thing that a lot of folks wouldn't really know about our situation, right? When we did our first production, our first platinum situation, you were working in the industry. You were already working at Loud Records, right?
Hmm.
And then I was working at a different private Fortune 500 company.
Uh-huh.
And I remember this very, very vividly because Pun came out, right? I think we went to like the album release maybe like a few days prior, or whatever.
Hmm.
First week sales come, Pun did maybe about 143,000 copies of his album, right? Top rap album coming out, and
Hmm.
you know, and I'm like, I looked at this number and I said 143,000 is a new artist, you know, still not a player, was going crazy. And I'm like, okay, this I think he might go platinum, right? I'm thinking he might go platinum. Like, so I'm here, and I'm here at the corporate job now, and I'm doing the corporate job, and we were burning the candle at both ends. I'd go to work, we do studio at night, we stay up all night, but I was young, I didn't have any kids, I didn't have anything, so you could do that, no problem.
Right.
So the record keeps going. The record keeps going, and then the phone starts ringing. So now we got this artist, and then that artist, and then Wu-Tang and Ray and these guys. Everybody's calling, and everybody's like, "Hey, we want to rock with y'all." We're like, "Okay, right?" And then it got to a point where people wanted to work with us so crazy, then they wanted us to go out of town. So that was really like the main one. Like, "Hey, we're gonna go out of Cali. We're gonna record this album.
I remember that.
A month."
Yeah.
And I said, man, this bullshit. Like these not gonna be recording this album. He's not gonna call us to record this album. And then you wind up getting the call. Rest in peace, Mel Carter. Call. It was like, "Hey, we about to go do this. We about to go do this sophomore Raekwon album. We're gonna be going to Cali, and we're gonna be out there for about a month." That's when the decision had to get made. Right, which was, do I stay here, or do I take, do whatever, right? Because, you couldn't, at this point, we couldn't do both. So we had one album that had already gone platinum, people were calling, we were working, and you had to make the decision. So I made the decision, said, okay, that job is a wrap. Wow. And we never looked back, right? And that's the risk sometimes people have to be willing to take. So in that particular case, it was a situation where, the work was there, and you could see it. It was tangible. There was a clear path to what you could do, what you were going to be able to get. Now, at the end of the day, you don't know how many songs you were going to get. You didn't know what happened here.
You didn't know the payout. You didn't know the payout.
You didn't know that. So that was the risk, right, in itself a little bit. But by the time we started to do that project, some of the publishing started to come in from Pun as well.
Yeah.
So financially, it wasn't like, we were destitute. So in that type of situation, it was like, okay, we could take a risk.
Right. But let me add, let's be clear, we were younger. So we had time to screw up,
Right.
We were younger, no families. As in, we didn't have those responsibilities. I want to make that clear.
Very, very clear. Like that probably was the main thing, was that you didn't have the certain level of responsibility,
right?
That you may have once you get married or once you have kids and that sort of thing. So you could bet on yourself. If you want to eat ramen noodles every day, you could do that.
Yep.
But that was a choice that we had to make. At that point, like, okay, to cross over, and that was that was a month that changed everything. Like, wow. that time out there, it changed everything. It changed, those were the records that segued us to Nas.
Right. And to be honest, man, it's really underneath the grand title of, and we sacrifice, with the sacrifices you have to make to be successful in the music business.
And the risk. And there are risks, but you have to bet on, your situation. And then we were in demand at that time, right? So it wasn't a question of, there was a little question of finances, but there wasn't a question of our skills and our experience at that time. So now we have already started to prove ourselves, and we've already started to create a demand, right? And we knew that this is what we wanted to do. So the commitment and passion, we were going to do what we needed to do. We were going to stay up all night. We were going to be in the studio for weeks at a time. That's what we were going to do. And then we were also had realistic expectations, because we were, you were 1 foot into a system as an A&R already. So that kind of gave us a little bit more of a situation to say, hey, you could take the risk. Although you didn't know what was going to happen, you had a realistic expectation of what was in front of you, or what you had access to. So I think those are the things that we probably need to expound on, and saying, okay, what do you have access to as a musician? What are your skills as a musician? Okay, you're committed to your craft, but how committed are you? And then also, how do you make up the gaps in terms of the financial situation to say, okay, now is the time for me to quit?
Wow. That's a lot. That's a lot. I mean, it comes down to everyone's personal situation. Um, and it's so each person's situation is unique, because you could have a person at a certain age who doesn't have any family. You could have a person at a certain age who does have family. And those things can affect the decision or affect, how you move. You know, for example, the Wu Tang show that aired on Hulu that we just watched.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, spoiler alert. It was very interesting to see RZA underneath the pressure. You know, that basically his music, the business of music, was very stressful at that moment. The demands that he had was very stressful, and the sacrifice that he had to make, whether it's just allowing his loved ones, to leave, in certain situations, the person that you may be with may be the person that's holding you back. I mean, it may not be the 9 to 5. It may be the person that you're with or the people that's around you. And that's another kind of, thing that we have to look at as well. If you don't have the support system, you know, you're not gonna make it. And you have to look at your own individual situation. So it's not a cookie cutter answer. There's just so many different things that you have to look at. And, you listed the 4 at the beginning of the podcast. And those 4 is, yeah, those things. But then there's additional sub things that you have to look at. Do you have the support? Do you have a foot in the direction you want to go in? Or is your expectations realistic? You know, there's just a lot of things you have to go through and do. There's no set number. Do you have enough to hold you down for a year or two without a job? You know, do you have that? Do you have money in your bank account? How are you going to pay rent? How are you going to eat? How are you going to survive? You got to ask yourself those real questions and map it out. Write it down. Write down a year, a calendar that you expect to get paid. How are you going to do your finances for an entire year? And, you know, it may even take longer than that. You don't know.
Right, you don't know. And I think that's probably that's the issue with the music business right now, is that it's a variable, unknown variables. You don't know how long it'll take. This guy may get it going. He may just start rapping and get it going.
Yeah.
3 months, 6 months. Another guy might take 10 years.
Yep. It happens.
Because we've seen it on both scales.
Mhm.
Somebody don't got nothing going on, but somebody sees something in him, or their network is something, and they're gone, right? And another person, they just got to work 5, 6, 7, 8 years before they get any traction at all. They can be in front of all the right people and still doesn't make a difference.
Yeah.
It's just one of those type of things. So like it's very nuanced. It's hard to say, but I want to kind of circle back to what you said in terms of saying support. That's the main thing that I would say. That would be the main precursor to say when you should be able to leave your 9 to 5 to pursue your career in music. Is, do you have the support? Now that support may be financial, that support may be emotional. You just need the support in order to say, okay, you know what? I don't have to worry about this while I'm doing that.
Right.
And sometimes you can get that if you have a good significant other. If you don't, like, it kind of depends, but you need to know if you have that support. And then again, we have to go back to the skills and the experience. Like, you have to have a certain amount of skills and experience. If it boils down to a situation where you need to get some money, do you have the skills and the experience that you can basically use that to quickly go get some money and pivot if you need to? Or do you have the skills and experience to make money from your craft? Like, do you know how to do that? So people have to kind of have this kind of understanding of which way can you pivot? Do you know if you have the appropriate skills to really make money in the music business. And you have to realize that the music business is not just streams. I think we've been talking about this for some time now. There are different ways to make money in music. The question is, are you open to making money in the different ways that the music business can provide for you? And do you know all of those ways that you can do that?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So that's the other part of it. Like some people may focus too much on just streaming. Some people may not realize that, hey, maybe I need to step up my live events. Maybe I might need to introduce some merchandise into this game.
Right.
Maybe I might need to introduce some, more features, or try to provide more features, or maybe need to start to help other people in terms of, networking and marketing their music. Some people do showcases. Some people do a lot of different things to make money in the music industry.
Right.
So are you open to those things?
Not for nothing, Jug. Let's not forget that, working a 9 to 5 can supply you with the discipline that you need in order to go into business for yourself.
I agree with that.
There's a certain character, there's certain skills that you pick up, getting to work on time, being accountable for uh, handling tasks on time, uh, making goals and meeting your goals. So even at work, if you have a boss and you got these things and you're not meeting your goals, you're not meeting your tasks, maybe you should think about, doing better in that area, because when it's time for you, it's going to be a whole lot harder, because you got to be accountable to yourself. You don't have someone over you to kind of like wave the whip, throw the whip at you, so to speak. You're accountable for your own actions. So the 9 to 5 does, and I don't want to ever speak down on 9 to 5. That's first and foremost.
Yeah, that's not the key here. The key is just knowing when to transition, from one to the other.
I think you can always use the things that you learn at a 9 to 5 to help you in your own business. There are certain skills that you could pick up, certain attitudes and discipline and ways of doing things that you could pick up. I remember, Jug, we had a conversation about, some of the things you picked up, and able to apply it,
Yeah.
early in our career. And, if it wasn't for that, we would be in a funny space right now. Like just being able to how to go into certain rooms and how to speak to certain people, and how you present yourself. You can't just walk into an office and start talking however you want to talk. You may not get what you want at the end of the day.
I think that's key. I think if I had to put the things that I learned from working in corporate, like those things were really transferable skills to our business. Like that's really what it was all about. It was really about getting transferable skills from that and being able to apply it to the music industry, right? Because you figure once I stepped out of the corporate arena, the first thing we stepped into was that Wu-Tang Raekwon project. And
Right.
they put a lot on us, meaning they wanted us to be the first people at the studio. They wanted us to catalog all of the samples. They wanted us to do this. So we would actually we A&R'd the thing. We wind up being the A&Rs, making sure that things were going the way that they were going, and being accountable for certain things on that situation. So that took a certain level of organization and project management skills.
Yeah. Yep.
Like where were you going to get that from? So again, and then being able to navigate these the buildings, being able to express your opinions without offending everybody.
Yeah.
This is just the skills that you have to learn. So when we look at the 9 to 5 situation, people have to realize that we say the 9 to 5 could be used to fund your dream, not just financially, but you have to look at your 9 to 5 and look at how that business is being run. Take those principles from how that business is being run and apply it to your own business. And I think this is where a lot of people really lose sight of the situation, because the internet will champion and say, hey man, go work for yourself, go work for yourself, go work for yourself. If you don't have the skills to work for yourself, you're going to fail.
Yeah.
If you don't have the discipline, like to your point, if you don't have the discipline to work for yourself, you're going to fail.
You know, a friend of mine, you know, was asking me the same question, and he's maneuvering, you know, through both worlds. And one thing he said was, you know, that he's utilizing some of the things at his day job to help him, you know, maneuver in his own pace. That's what you mean. That's like you're not stealing no supplies or anything like that. No, no. But you know, the things that he's learned and picked up, you know, even some of the contacts and connections at the day job, you know, just when it comes to trying to move forward with, you know, opening up his own office, you know, now he has an idea of, you know, which companies to call to you know, install certain things because he's using the same company that his job used, you
That's
know,
right. That's right.
which are the best network printers to use. Just a whole bunch of things. He just piggybacked his whole thing based off of the day job, which was I was like, wow. He said it saved him like endless time. Incentive it saved him. He just contacted the same vendors that he already contacted, and he just moved it over. And because he's already has that relationship, he was getting all of those things for a discount. You know, he set up his own office at a discount because he had a relationship because he worked 9 to 5 and had those relationships. You know, and those things, some of those things are just priceless, man. And that's I thought that was very smart that he was just utilizing his connections and just everything he learned at his day job, and he utilized all of those things and was able to move it over to what he got going.
So we want to make the folks really understand, like, we are talking about when should a person consider quitting that 9 to 5 to pursue a full-time career in the music business. And we talked about some of the different things that people need to make sure that they are considering before they do that, which is one, having the support, like you said, having support, whether it be financial, emotional support, that
Hmm.
that you can have somebody to lean on in case of this thing goes a little bit left, because it will go left. The question is not about when, is it not if, but when, right? Then also we said people need to make sure that they have the applicable skills and experience, because you need skills and experience to really make it in this game. I don't know why people think that you can just go out here and, luck can only take you but so far.
Yeah, you need the
You know,
discipline.
you need the discipline, you need the skills, you
You need
need
to
the experience to do it.
hold yourself accountable.
Real talk. Then the other thing we talked about is having that commitment and passion. Like, do you have the commitment and passion to really do this thing? Are you really willing to spend sleepless nights doing this thing? Are you really as committed as you say you are? Because a lot of people say that they're committed to this music business, but things get rough. You don't see them.
A lot of sacrifices that has to be made. You know, you may not be able to go hang out with your friends. You may be able to go out on that date. You may have to skip out on a couple of things that you normally
For
would
real.
just love to do. You know, I remember being home for an entire year, just in the basement, just making beats every day, not going out, not going out. It was hot as hell out on that summer. I wasn't going out. I spent the summers also just waking up, making beats, eat my little sandwich, go back, making beats. Yo, hey, there's a party, so and so's birthday. You coming through? Nah, not next year. And then some of those beats is out on major platforms
Yep.
because of
Out
that.
forever. Yep.
Yeah,
And that's the sacrifice from those times to other times. And I remember us giving up countless weekends.
yeah,
Countless weekends. Like people's Friday, Saturday, Sundays. Our Friday, Saturdays was like people were partying and we was in studio
yeah,
12, 16 hours a day. Like, yeah, that's just what we did, and people have to realize you have to have realistic expectations. You do not know when this thing is going to pop. There's no magic. There's no magic wand. There's no crystal ball that's going to tell you when you're going to make it or how you're going to make it. You just have to keep trying different things, assess the data, come back, take a look, see what the situation is. And you have to have realistic expectations of what your music can do and what you can accomplish out here.
yeah.
So Those are the things that we would really suggest, is just making sure that you're paying attention to those things. Um, how can you get your music to make some money? We talked about that. We've been talking about that for some time. You know, you have to make sure that you're putting out quality music. We talked about that. We said that you have to make sure that you have a website, that you can have a home base, and that you can conduct your business from. Because remember, what's happening now is that you're an artist. Now you become not just a musician or a songwriter or an artist. You know, your website can now become what we call an e-commerce platform, because
Absolutely.
now we're delivering, you know, digital products and goods. And if you want to also deliver merchandise and stuff like that, it needs to be set up for that type of transaction. You need to be able to gain customer data. You need to be able to send out marketing and promotion situations.
Yeah,
Like like this is not, you can't run your business from Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok.
you got to know your customer.
Yeah.
You got to know them. You got to know what they like. You got to have a relationship with them. You know, ask them questions, leave an open back and forth have an open forth and dialogue with them. They need to know you, and you need to know them and what they like. You know, feel free to ask them questions. What should I offer? Should I offer this? Would you be interested in this? Send out surveys. You know, do that. You know, that's the only way you're gonna really get to know your customer, is to ask them questions. Don't always just assume. Don't always just say, yo, I'm gonna have a product and this is it. Ask them, hey, do you like the product? What can I do to make it better? What kind of situation can I make that's gonna make you come back to the site and make this a more enjoyable situation for you? Ask those questions.
So if we had to really ask people, if people really wanted to know, like, what would be the fastest way that they can earn of money as a musician, as an artist, um, as
I
an
say
artist, as a
diversify
producer.
your portfolio,
Yeah.
not
You
just music. I think that's if you got to do almost a shotgun approach. You gotta have more to offer than just music. That's first of all. Have more to offer. That's the first thing you got to do. Have more to offer. Don't just focus just on music, because then you're going to be expecting all of your income to come from music. And if that's not going to be enough, then leaving your 9 to 5 job it's going to take a whole lot longer, or it's not going to happen at all.
And that's real. And I think also, I'm going to give you a little bit more of a jewel. Make sure that you're paying attention to your social media. And folks will say, well, what do you mean when you say that? Like, as a musician and as artists now, people's social media, they're not only just being used to promote, but some people's social medias are businesses within themselves. So say, for example, you have a YouTube channel that has a certain subscriber or have a certain watch time. That becomes a monetizable business in itself that helps to promote your other business. The same thing with your Instagram, and if we're talking about paid reels for Facebook and so forth and so on, and TikTok partner program. Once your content starts to generate interest, it starts to generate income. And then these platforms become little separate business entities in conjunction with your music. So you have to really make sure that you're playing in the full, not just the music, but the content creation portion of everything, and making sure that that's all running as a fine oiled machine, because that's really where you can gain your freedom fastest, if you're playing all of those games or playing all of those cards within the game at the same time.
Jewel. Yep. Yep. That's a jewel.
So
You gotta make the sacrifices too. Like let's make the sacrifices. Don't be scared to make the leap when you feel you're ready. You know.
that's what get everybody nervous, is the unknown, man. But let's be honest, man. Your employer can come and pull a rug from you tomorrow.
Yeah.
And if your employer did that, what would you do?
What I do suggest is that like I said, everybody's situation is different, but I hope you guys are saving and investing.
Oh yeah, that's a whole nother
I,
that's a
I
whole
you
nother
know
podcast.
because when it's time for you to make that jump and that leap, you want to make sure that you have something on the side. So right now, if you're not, do it. If your job has a 401k situation and it matching or whatever, take advantage of that. And those are one of the things as a 9 to 5, for a 9 to 5 to take advantage of. Like if your job is matching, why wouldn't you do that? Like that's money to help you when you make that jump over. Take advantage of all the company discounts. Whenever you got to take a flight somewhere or you got to go somewhere, they got discounts. Or a lot of these companies have discounts. Like Jerk, I still have like old discounts applied to phones and things like that. Like that's still good. And giving you percentage off on this and on that. And it helps, man. You got to take advantage of these things, man, because it's there for you to utilize and to use. And when it's time for you to make your transition over, it'll make things a whole lot easier. So make sure that you utilize all of those things. Make sure that if there's a 401k situation, some sort of savings arrangement, you know, have that, get involved in that, and save up, so that when it's time for you to make that move, you have a nice nest egg of what you're working with, and then also create a calendar with a timeline and of how you're going to, where you're going to put your funds. Um, Unfortunately, and we said this in another podcast, there's a lot of uh, bad information. There's a lot of people trying to get you to use your money to do this and to do that, fake this, fake that. So you have to be very mindful of where you're putting your money as soon as once you really leave the job and do this full time. You got to be very careful of who you're placing your money with. People who are saying they're guaranteeing this and guaranteeing that, you may want to be careful about that. So just a little extra, heads up in that area.
Not financial advice.
Not financial advice.
Not financial advice. Too many people being jammed up on that.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I think that the 9 to 5, I don't think is the enemy for everyone. I think everybody's situation is unique. It kind of depends on what your wants are, what your needs are, what you're trying to learn, what you're trying to apply to your business. And, you have to make the best of what your situation has in front of you. And you have to make the decision that best impacts you and your family. Like, I think that is the real key here. And that's when you'll know when it's important for you to, make that move. You may just feel like you're just being stifled personally. You may feel like you can't breathe within the confines of the 9 to 5. Like, it may just make you feel like you're just empty,
Or
and you may need some sense of fulfillment.
or the hack is to get a 9 to 5 in an area that's close to what you're doing.
That's a hack.
So
Or a remote 9 to 5 that you don't have
Yeah.
to do that you don't have to do too much.
I remember meeting a guy some years ago that worked at a television station, and he wanted to put out a book. And he put out a book, and he was able to utilize him working at the station to kind of, move things around. And, it was,
I remember that.
yeah, you guys involved and I guess try to get us involved with some of the music aspect of it or something. But, it's dope when you can utilize the things that's a day job to even push what you have even further. To utilize some of the contacts, things you learned. Like when you have those situations, man, it's actually a plus when you can do that. When it's in a similar field and you could actually use some of the same people or connects to help you to get to a certain space, man, it's golden. So keep that in mind as well. Maybe changing a 9 to 5 could be a better answer. Maybe in an area that you actually enjoy and like, and that could still use that to kind of get your own thing going and kind of merge it together.
but it always goes back to leveraging your 9 to 5 the best way that you can to transition onward.
Yeah.
And you have to know what's the best way to leverage yourself so that you can push your situation where you want it to go. Like we said, there's no singular answer.
Yeah.
You know, you do want to make sure that you're looking and trying to see what's what and what's going to work on that type of situation. So I hope we were able to answer folks' questions with this. You know, it's a little bit of a, like I said, a tough topic in terms of just knowing when, because there's a lot at risk.
Yeah. It's a lot of risk. I remember Jug just, working out loud. My 9 to 5 was, working at the record label. And to be able to do our side thing, we were going to do our side thing at another company, and it was just because they saw what we was doing and it raised, their value, and they were interested that the same company that I worked for wanted to actually say, you know what, nah, don't go over there. We'll pull you in and make you in production over here.
And that was a great opportunity that way.
Right. And, a pretty unique situation in itself, for it to come back full circle like that, where your daytime job uh actually helped create your side thing, and the powers that be saw your side thing and wanted it as part of your main 9 to 5 thing.
Right.
And that's a unique situation. But that's our story, and hopefully this information that we've given you can allow you to create your story.
So Arkatech Beatz Music Business Podcast, folks.
Yeah. Yep.
You know what I'm saying? I'll put the claps in there, like everybody know. With really funding in the If you have not already gotten the book, the free ebook, the Songwriters Guide, the Song Registration, Essential Steps to Protect and Monetize Your Music, please go download that. That is free at arkatechbeatz.com. And is there any other parting words you want to give your folks today, Mike?
Man, bet on yourself.
Man, you can't. Man, listen. That's all you got. At the end of the day, you got to bet on yourself, man.
Bet on yourself, man. Like, ain't nothing worse than not betting on yourself and what you have to live with after, the regret.
I'm telling you
that yeah, you may have been successful in another area and you're doing that, but are you?
So what if?
Are you truly happy?
Yeah. How much time you got left?
Yeah, man.
It's a big question, man. People got to really try to take a real good look, man. Like, tomorrow's not promised, man. Did you do what you were set out to do? Did you follow your true path and calling?
It's best that you go out and you bet on yourself and have failed and have not even given it a shot.
That's real talk, brother. Say that again.
It's best that you have bet on yourself and gave it a good shot than not even try at all.
That's the game right now. You got to bet on yourself, man. Too many people betting on themselves and really winning, man.
But it's discouraging also, it's talented people is out there and, stuck in the 9 to 5. People's out there that can really contribute to this industry. The talents, the things that they can create that could really move this culture forward. And they're hidden away, boxed up somewhere,
because the pressure of life, man. That's how they got you. They got you so that the creativity can't come out.
Yeah.
The creativity is your freedom.
Imagine the records that we have not heard because of that, and the influence those records would have had. There could be somebody bigger than Pac out there right now.
That might.
We'll never get hit.
Listen. But Kanye said that everybody wants to know what would happen if I didn't win. Like, I guess we'll never know. Like, you never know. You'll never know if you didn't try, man. Like, if you don't believe in yourself and you don't have a little bit of delusion, a little bit of confidence in yourself, you never know what you can accomplish, man. And that's really the reality of the situation. Have some confidence in what you can do. Have some confidence in your skills. Have some confidence in your ability to move forward. You know, and you know, you'll be surprised how things work themselves out.
Yep.
But until next time, folks. Peace.
Peace.